Hey folks, welcome back. Tonight we're going to be making a quick chicken noodle soup. This is going to be the first part of our series of economical meals. We're going to be able to make a whole chicken with a whole pound of pasta and some vegetables mixed up for, as of today, the end of October, for $12.77 before tax. Follow along. All right, first things first, we're going to take our whole chicken and cut it out the bag. You really want to make sure this thing is already thawed out. Technically, you can boil a still partially frozen chicken. I do not recommend it. First things first, you're going to reach up in there and make sure there's no bag of giblets and stuff like that. You can see they include the heart and lungs. I'm going to put that in there for the stock, and then I'll take that out of the actual final meal. And you've got this like extra tail chunk of fat thing. I'm gonna leave that in there just while I'm boiling the chicken. All right, we want to rinse this chicken off really well, get any of that old packaging and stuff like that out of it. And then we're gonna cover it with at least 2 inches of water. All right, so we've got the chicken rinsed off and put in the pot, and we've got it filled up to about here with water. You want, general rule of thumb, you want at least 2 inches of water above the bird. Because we're trying to be economical here, I did not separately buy chicken broth or chicken stock. A lot of people will boil their chicken in that, but we're boiling a whole chicken, you know, bone and all. So I don't think that's really necessary. What I am gonna do is take the ends of my onion that we're gonna, you know, that you generally throw away, and just and go ahead and put those parts in here with a boiling chicken. Just make sure to get all the extra flakiness off, about like that. And now you can throw that in there with your chicken as it's boiling to kind of make it a little bit more stock-like. Just make sure to get all that root type of stuff off of there. All right, so we'll throw that in there, and then with the celery, we'll go ahead and take this very bottom part. That goes to the trash. And then these inside parts that you'd usually toss, I'm gonna go and put that in the stock as well after I rinse them off. All right, so we got it rinsed off, and I'm just gonna toss them in there like that, nice and easy. And that's using, you know, the whole animal, if you want to call it that, but then also some of that celery and onion flavor is gonna get mixed up in there. And because we're not using stock, which for this would add at least another $3 to the recipe, we're just gonna use some plain old chicken bouillon. And I'll put 1 big scoop in there. We do the generic Italian seasoning. Get these at Wally World for $1. It's easy to go overboard with these though, so I just put 1, 2 little shakes in there. And that's it. A little bit of garlic powder. And even though we have onion in there, we don't have a whole bunch of onion, so I'm gonna go and put a little bit of onion powder in there as well. All right, so we're gonna turn the stove on high and let it come to a boil. We'll give it a quick mix like this, just get the bouillon and everything all stirred up in there. And then we're just gonna leave it alone. You'll need to Google the exact cook time for your chicken, because it really depends on the size of the chicken itself. For our chicken, because it's fairly small, we'll do 70 minutes. But you always want to use a meat thermometer. In this case, we're going to boil the whole chicken and then shred the whole thing and put it back in the already really hot soup. So if it's not 100% cooked after 70 minutes, it's okay, because we're going to shred it up and put it back in there. So we'll let this boil for just over an hour, and we'll go to the next step. All right, once you have it at a full rolling boil like this, you're going to turn it down to at least half the heat. You want it to keep on boiling, but at a very slow boil. And a quick little tip, if you want really clear, nice looking broth, are you gonna be able to, can you see in there? Mm-hmm. You get this little foam stuff at the beginning when you first start boiling a whole chicken. So if you just scrape that little layer off, you're gonna end up with really clean, clear looking broth, which is our preference. All right, we'll let this keep on boiling down. Okay, so the chicken is done boiling. And so now we're gonna take this out because we're gonna shred it up before we put it. And you see there, it literally fell apart. So is this tender? I believe it's tender. So let me get some tongs to get the rest of this out. Look, that whole piece literally just fell off. It should be very, very yummy. It literally fell off the bone. Alrighty, now that we got the chicken out, we're gonna let that sit for a minute. On the side here, because I'm trying to keep this quick for y'all, I already chopped up all the vegetables. So what I did here is I used baby carrots, excuse me, because they're very cheap per pound. These were $1 and I believe 17 cents. Yes, these were $1.17. So, and they're already washed and everything. So all I got to do is chop them in half. They're good to go. I put a whole thing of celery in here. I did wash it off and then cut them up in pieces about that big. And I have one whole white onion. All right, I need to drain this real quick. All right, so now that we got the all the chicken out of the broth, we're gonna turn the heat back up to about medium. And I'm gonna put all these vegetables in that broth. Ellie, no. Thank you. All right, so we got all the vegetables in the broth. Because so much of the broth evaporated over the last hour while it was boiling, I'm gonna go and put a pretty good amount of water back in there. All right, we're gonna let the broth come, or excuse me, the liquid come back to a boil with all the vegetables in there. And then just like the chicken, we'll drop it back down to a really low boil until the vegetables are done. The best way that I've found to see if the vegetables are done is to pull out one of the carrots and try to shove a fork in it. And once you can shove a fork in it pretty easily, you can safely assume that the vegetables are done. So I'm gonna get this chicken all shredded up and get it ready to put in the whole mixture once the vegetables are done. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna do the 2-fork shredding method with all this chicken. If it is a personal decision up to you whether you want to have the skin in there or not. I boil the chicken with the skin and everything on it to get all the fat and flavor, but I do not put the skin in the actual stew. I want it nice and plain, so I'll just take 2 forks, and you can see how quick and easy this is because everything just literally falls apart. So I'll keep on doing this and separating all the meat from the bone until we have nothing but a nice pile of chicken. Alrighty, so we have the chicken all shredded up, and you can see there's a nice mixture of dark and white meat. And this is gonna be super yummy when it's all mixed up with its vegetables. The vegetables are at a hard boil right now. It's getting a little late, so I really wanna get it done quickly. We already made stock, so it's really not important that we do the vegetables super slow. So I'm just gonna get them boiled until the carrots are soft, and I'm gonna throw all this chicken in there, and I'll show you that next. All right, so the vegetables have been at a hard boil for just under 10 minutes, and the carrots are already starting to get a little bit soft. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these egg noodles. I'm gonna add the whole pack, make sure that I have enough water in there, and then I'm gonna boil them per the instructions for about 8 or 9 minutes. All right, so the noodles are all done now. Excuse me, so just a quick recap here. We boiled the chicken, right? Took the chicken out, set it to the side and shredded it. So we got waste and a whole bunch of really yummy meat. Then in that same broth that's got all the fat and flavor in it, we put the vegetables in it and boiled them for about 10 minutes until the carrots were soft enough to puncture with a fork. Before the vegetables were completely done, we went ahead and put the egg noodles in there, and we let it continue to boil until the egg noodles are about like 90% done. So technically everything is done here. So now all we have to do is remove this from the heat. And we're taking all this chicken. Be careful when you drop it in there so it doesn't splash back and burn your hand. But we're gonna take all this chicken meat that we had and put it in here with everything else. We'll give this a quick stir, just kind of get everything all mixed up together. And you can see that is already looking extra yummy. So now that everything's all done, technically you could put this in a bowl right now and start to eat it. And it's gonna take a couple hours to cool down before you put it in the refrigerator. So now that we got everything all mixed up, I didn't mention anything about seasonings really, except for at the very beginning. You 100% are gonna want to add salt. That is completely subjective to you, but just plain old table salt, add a little bit, mix it up, taste the broth, and do that a couple times until you've achieved what saltiness you like. So this is technically done. We'll do a quick plating, so to speak. I guess you call it a bowling, just so you can kind of see what it looks like as a finished product in the bowl. Other than that, we're all done here. If you like this sort of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm doing this for y'all, and I'm showing y'all what we actually eat, and we actually thoroughly enjoy it. We are by no means well off, but we do have enough money for food. But even money aside, we don't feel the need to spend 50, 60 bucks a night on food. So this meal here, this entire pot, which is full up to here, costs $12.77 if you don't include tax and salt. Very economical, very healthy, and it'll keep y'all full. Like I said, I'll show you all the bowling here at the very end. Otherwise, thank y'all very much for being here. Please make sure to subscribe because I've got about a dozen other meals like this that you can get good, high calorie, high protein food for sorry, my baby, very economically, and you can feed your whole family. And by the way, the babies love this also. That's why I didn't add any spice.